Chapter 16, Godric's Hollow, was a pretty somber chapter. Um, so, Harry and Hermione were obviously missing Ron, and Hermione especially, because there were several nights they stayed in the same area just in case Ron decided to, wander back in or, walk in and say, I'm sorry, anything like that. And a couple of days they spent a good amount of time waiting, possibly to see if Ron came back, and he did not. Because they knew once they left that area that they were at, Ron would have no way to be able to track where they went to. And it was really hard for them to leave, but they had to because obviously. Um, and they left, and this was really hard. Hermione wants to go cry again because this was like the defining moment that they might not see Ron again. Like that's how they were thinking. They might not see Ron again, and at this point, they just tried to. Well, mostly just Harry tried to push at the back of his mind. Like they didn't mention Ron, anything to do with the Weasleys. They just tried not to bring up Ron because it would just bring up those emotions again. And Harry did not want Hermione to going through that. And Harry himself really, really missed Ron. Like even every time he thought of Ginny, Ron popped in his head too, because obviously Ron's her brother. And so they were just as they were moving along through different camps. They talked to Phineas as well, the in the portrait former headmaster, and obviously blindfolded him again. He kept trying to sneak in questions about where they were, and they didn't answer those. But he let them know Ginny, Neville, and Luna have been still causing some trouble for Snape at Hogwarts, and he made some decrees that students could really gather together. I think it said Ginny was banned from Hogsmeade, so he was just trying to keep them all separate, so they wouldn't come together and try to not steal the sword, but do anything else again. And Harry was even checking the Marauders map just in case Ron had gone back to Hogwarts, and they would know where he is. But Ron did not pop up. But Harry found himself watching Ginny as she was going through Hogwarts, and that was probably the only thing that kind of kept him pleasure. He actually really, at this moment, also thought about going back to Hogwarts himself, even though it was probably a selfish thought, just going back because he missed his ex, and he missed being at Hogwarts and getting food, all that stuff, and now he was stuck out here in the middle of the woods, uh, not alone, but with Hermione, and she was sad, so they didn't talk too much. And yeah, he was thinking about that. Also, the fact that Ron was right about the fact that he did not know what he was doing in this quest because Dumbledore gave him such little information, and Hermione and Ron both assumed that Harry had a lot of information. Maybe he wasn't telling them everything, but they just assumed that maybe he had more than he was letting on, and that he would be able to lead them on this mission. And they realized he doesn't know anything. And Harry kind of felt bad, but it's not his fault. Obviously, Dumbledore didn't tell him shit. Um, yeah, and so they were just trying to think of locations where the sword could be, and as they were doing that, at night they would just be kind of chilling in the tent, and Hermione was reading that book that Dumbledore left her, and she noticed that there was the same sign that was in that book. That it's a children's book. The same sign that was in the book was also in the same sign that was on Luna's dad's necklace. So they were like, that's weird. Why would that be in a children's book? So makes me think that maybe Luna's dad knows more than he's letting on. Um, Even though, like in the previous chapter, when the goblins and Mr. Tonks and Dean were talking, they said the Quibbler is really the one that's spitting out the real facts about things going on. So maybe he's got something that maybe he's gonna help them in the future. But Harry mentioned Godric's Hollow. And, he's been wanting to go there just to see his parents' grave. That's where he wanted to start their journey. And he mentioned it. Hermione always put it down because obviously this place could be monitored by Death Eaters or Dementors or somebody, maybe even Voldemort. And this time, Hermione's like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And Harry was like, hold on, what? And then she mentioned that this is also the place that Gryffindor himself is from, and Harry did not know that because it's Godric Gryffindor, and he didn't put two and two together that he's from there. And he kind of wishes Dumbledore would have even mentioned that part as well because Dumbledore's from there, or Dumbledore lived there, his parents lived there, Gryffindor, like these things kind of add up, and Harry did not put two and two together. So they are preparing to go to Godric's Hollow, and Hermione wanted to practice first with apparating under the invisibility cloak, and also get some hairs for some Polyjuice Potion so they don't come in looking like themselves. And so Harry was ready to go immediately because deep down he just wanted to see his parents' graves, and Hermione obviously wanted to look around and see maybe that's a possible location the sword could be as well. And then she also mentioned maybe the sword is with Bathilda Bagshot, the historian of magic. Maybe she has a sword because she also lived there as well. And so they get ready for their mission. They get the hairs for the Polyjuice Potion and travel in. And they were trying to go under the cloak, but Hermione, they realized it was snowing, and there's a lot of snow on the ground, and it's that time of year, close to Christmas, and they kind of just ditched the cloak altogether and decided to go in. And then when they see the town, they realize it's Christmas Eve, and so there's a lot of festivities going on. People were outside, there's a church, and then they make their way to the cemetery, where they see, once they get closer, they see it's been magically distorted, so regular people don't see it. But there's a memorial, and this memorial is Harry's parents and himself as a baby in this little statue. And as they go in more, they see Dumbledore's mother and sister's graves as well. And then Harry's walking around looking for his parents' actual graves, and he does find them. And at that moment, Hermione's the one who finds the graves. But that moment, he decides to. This is where all the emotion comes out. So he starts crying, and he doesn't even try to stop it. He just lets the tears out. And when he's done, he walks off with Hermione, and they're holding each other. And that is the chapter.